All right, folks, we are live for another episode of Remodelers on the Rise. What do you guys think of that name? I mean, it's got some oomph behind it, doesn't it?
I like it. Yeah, I really like it.
We ain't looking for people that are like remodelers on the way down, remodelers that are sucking wind and about to close up shop. No, this is about remodelers who are on the rise. I'm going to introduce my two guests here momentarily, let them introduce themselves, but just a little bit of understanding of kind of how we connected here, and I'll do it by just a little bit of teaching on a marketing tactic called strategic partners. Strategic partners. A strategic partner is anybody who shares the same ideal client as you do. Anybody who shares the same ideal client as you do. So if I'm a remodeler, an architect, an interior designer, a realtor, it doesn't necessarily have to also be from that particular vertical. If you know a lot of your ideal clients are business owners, well, your CPA or your financial advisor may be a good strategic partner. So one thing, remodelers listening to this, think of who a good strategic partner is and reach out to them. Just connect with them. Figure out how you can help them. They can be tremendous referral sources. Now, I share that because I would say that a good strategic partner for Clear Estimates is Kyle Hunt and Remodelers on the Rise. A good strategic partner for Remodelers on the Rise and Kyle Hunt would be Clear Estimates. We have a lot of ideal clients that we share. So over the years, I don't know if I reached out to you, Jack, or you reached out to me, but we've kind of stayed in contact over the years. You guys have been kind and had me on some of your webinars over the years. And I remember, speaking of marketing and strategic partners, I think I picked up a few clients from that, hence strategic partners and the value of it. And we haven't really chatted much over the last couple of years, but you reached out to me, Jack, a few months ago, and we just kind of reconnected. And I said, hey, I've got this show, and I think it'd be great to have you guys on. We could talk about estimating. So here we are.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. This has been great.
You betcha. So a takeaway already, remodelers, who is a good strategic partner for you and who can you reach out to? I wouldn't mind even one of you typing in the comments. Or who was your last referral from a strategic partner? Nolan, I'll start with you. Can you just give a little background on your business, Clear Estimates, and then we're going to spend the bulk of the time talking about common mistakes in estimating tips. But go ahead and start. Give me your 60-second who you guys are.
Sure. Yeah. Clear Estimates emerged from a real pain that my dad had. I grew up working for my father's company. He was a construction contractor. So I rose the ranks from being a gopher through a carpenter, through estimator and accountant, essentially doing back office work for my dad. And at one point we were tasked with, let's pick an estimating tool that will work for his business. And we reviewed all of them. This is in the late 90s, and they were all just garbage. He was like, this is going to slow me down. I want to have to redraw my plans just to come up with the numbers, or these are too clunky, or they're built for heavy construction. They were all just not suitable for his type of work. So we, as builders, do what we do best and built our own solution internally. And he was a member of a national organization where he networked with people across the country. And we were telling people what we built for his business. And they started to say, could you drop me a CD-ROM in the mail? This is how it worked back in the early 2000s. And so after I graduated,
wait, what's a CD? What's a CD? So we're not talking
circular,
about a floppy disk. Okay.
No, yeah, something in the middle there.
I mean, some of these people that watch this show, and you know who you are like, they're like, what's a CD? They're thinking eight. Is it called 8-track? They're like, was it a record? Some of these people are old that listen to this, not hip and cool and young like us. Okay, but a CD-ROM.
Yeah, the first version actually did ingest a floppy disk. You'd stick it in the A drive and it would read prices from the local lumber yard. But anyway, yeah, being the astute businessman that I was, even at the young age of 22, I thought, we're mailing these disks all over the country. I think there's an opportunity there. So we launched the business in 2004. Switched to a software as a service model with our partner RemodelMax in 2007. But really, things hit the next level when we hired Jack to join as our product manager and CEO in 2014 and switched to the web-based platform that we are today. We have amassed legions of loyal followers over the years by just listening to our contractors and understanding what makes them tick and how they work and building the solution for them.
Awesome. Yeah, in my experience with Clear Estimates has been, estimating is not my forte and not something I spend a lot of my coaching on, but there's a lot of respected clients of mine and people even in my private Facebook group that when the idea of estimating software comes up, your guys' name comes up often, and I would say it's because it's simple, it's clear, it's easy, it's flexible, and I've just seen a lot of people have had good luck with it. Okay, enough about you guys. Let's deliver some value, and people can reach out to you in the future. Although, if you guys do go to clearestimates.com, you can check out who they are and what they're up to. But let's get into some questions related to this extremely important topic of estimating. Give me your thoughts on this question here of just what are some of the common mistakes you guys see when it comes to estimating? And one other thing in particular, we're talking to people that are primarily doing kitchen, bathroom remodeling. So just kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah, certainly. So, I think one of the things is just about using your estimates as sort of the central portion of your business. So, having a detailed estimate isn't just valuable when you go in front of a customer and you can show them that you have all this detail, that you've done the work, you've been thorough. But also while you're managing the project, if there are change orders, you'll have the specific scope of work to go back to and look at it and make sure that you're on the same page with the client when you're working through those change orders, or when you're managing the project elsewhere, tracking allowances or other things during the project. Having all that detailed work done ahead of time can really make the rest of the project go smoothly as well. Even thinking to potential disputes down the line. I mean, I know those are things that contractors don't want to have come up. But if you have those detailed scope of work written in a contract that's signed by the homeowner, it's really easy to go back and point and say, we agreed on this back on the 15th. We know that we had this written out. We had the scope of work detailed. So, part of what we see is just the mindset when you're going into estimating. We know it can be painful. We know it's not the most fun part of the job, and it's maybe not even why you got into the business in the first place. But instead of thinking of it as just some administrative task that's costing you time, that's you're not out in the field, you're not selling jobs, you're just creating the estimate. Sure, you can think of it like that, certainly, but also it's very valuable going through the rest of the process, all the way into job costing at the very end, and understanding what the actual costs were and being able to compare to what you estimated on the front end.
Oh, we got our first comment.
Oh, I love this.
This guy, first of all, Michael, his name is Jack. This is a personal show. His name's Jack. That's Nolan.
Hi,
my name's Kyle. But Michael's hitting on this guy's speaking my love language. And then great reframe. Estimating is not a boring administrative task. It's not some necessary evil. It's the foundation for what's coming. I think Michael's a big fan of. There you go. Now he's talking.
What's up, Michael?
I think Michael's a Clear Estimates client. But several things on what you just mentioned. What's a common mistake you see? If I were to extract that from what you said, one of the big things is remodelers are not taking the time to create specific and detailed scope of work. They're not getting into the nitty-gritty details of what's included, what's not included. And the downstream effect of that, there's a ripple effect, right? If we're not doing the hard work up front and the detail work, there's a lot of challenges that will come as a result of that.
Right. And one of the key functionalities of Clear Estimates is when you build the estimate, it takes every line that you added to come up with that number and also automatically drafts those specs in the proposal. So there's one-to-one parity between what is included and what's presented in that proposal. So there's no confusion when you say the 14 duplex outlets will be installed as part of the kitchen scope. It is included in the price and it shows up on the proposal. So there's no double entry, and exactly what the contractor signs and commits to is included in that price.
Gotcha. I think we're having is the connection. The connection I think went out just briefly there, but I think we're okay now.
Yeah, I think it's on our end. Sorry about that.
Okay, that's all right. You get Uptown and Brighton. We're just like 25 minutes from each other, but they're down there in Ann Arbor, which you'd think would be great internet, but that's all right. We're doing fine.
No.
Yeah, the idea of any other common mistakes that you guys often see when it comes to estimating?
Yeah, I mean, I think, kind of keeping along that mindset, I think a lot of times there's there's sort of a balance of what you need within your business, of what the estimate actually represents. And if you think about other companies and any company that you think of, they pay top dollar for consultants and experts to come up with their price, to come up with what their product sells for. now there are companies online using AI and machine learning to come up with these very complicated models on how to charge for something. And, as remodelers, you're not quite doing that, but it's important. This is the price that you're charging for your services. This is the marketing material that you're displaying in front of customers, and the estimate may be only a piece of that, but it all comes together to really represent your business to your clients. It's the prices that you charge. It's the revenue that you're bringing in. It really is a heavily critical aspect of the business. And, every job is different. So we can't, there's not too much we can say about, well, make sure you do this on particular, things like that. But, obviously there are best practices for kitchens and baths and things like that. But, really, I think it really does come down to the mindset and thinking of it as something that is something that's going to represent your company to your clients. It's what is your marketing, it's your sales, it's your pricing, and then it's your project management going forward. And having a good process around the estimating is just going to make your life easier on all the kind of follow-up tasks that you have there.
Nolan, I couldn't help but see. Did you write down a nugget of wisdom that you wanted to share?
Yeah, it's so much of it too. Fountain of intel. People take too long. It's and it's not because it takes them that long to create the estimate. It's because they don't like doing it, and so they wait 3 weeks and then do it in an hour anyway. And so getting it done quickly. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. And in fact, there's some benefit in getting quicker information that's approximated with the appropriate level of caveats that this is a preliminary bid, and maybe even intentionally creating the first draft that has ballpark pricing information, but with limited information. So it's nothing that they could sign. You're not at risk of entering into a scope of a project that won't be profitable, but you get it to them fast. And if you don't have enough information, then it also prevents them from taking it and shopping it around. So we have a specific type of proposal called the preliminary proposal that is intended for that, where you can conceal some of the information so they can't take it and have what someone say, for this exact spec, I'll do it for 10% less.
Gotcha.
So that's important. And mainly just don't let perfect be the enemy of good, and having an open, consistent dialogue. There's going to be multiple volleys, so don't hesitate in getting that back in the customer's hands.
Gotcha. And what you're talking about there is cycle time. The more time that is between that initial maybe signing the design and project development agreement and the time we actually put that first draft of the scope of work in front of them, each day that goes on, each week that goes on, there's just more potential for this roadblock to happen, especially these days with material prices being so wonky. The quickness in response and making it a priority is incredibly important. And also sometimes we're setting ourselves up for failure. If you're only able to do a detailed estimate and scope of work for 2 projects a week, stop trying and setting your schedule up to do 4 per week. Focus on fewer, and that might mean you build more backlog of them out and say, look, we can start the design and project development, that second week in July, but that's setting yourself up for success there. I was just talking to one of my clients last week, and she's a salesperson, and she's overwhelmed. She's got too much going on, and we finally got to the root cause of it. She has too many appointments per week, and she needs to slow that down so that there's actual time to devote to that. Moving on to this next one. Why is estimating? And by the way, those of you watching, I do have one question that's already queued up that we'll get to in a second. But if you guys have questions or comments or thoughts, please type them in there. But this next question of why is estimating so vitally important to being profitable? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, a couple of years ago, we actually had a webinar from Michael Stone, who wrote the book on markup and profit for contractors. So, it's really, like I was talking about a minute ago, it's how you set your pricing. And in a lot of companies, there are full departments and teams and analysts in charge of just setting your pricing to make sure that the company is profitable. And this is really where the remodeler, where the contractors get a chance to create those estimates, create the price, and make sure that they are profitable. One of the things that Michael Stone talks about is just really making sure you're covering all of your costs and understanding that your administrative costs do need to be built into, say, your markup when you're coming up with the price of the project. So, it it's not just to me, it's not just vital of how you become profitable. It's almost how you become profitable. You know, if you might think you're not getting enough jobs, but if each job isn't really making you that much money, more jobs isn't going to solve the problem. You're just going to still lose money on each job, or not make very much money on each job. So you know, it really is core to how you set your business up for success. And that really means, and you know, I encourage everybody to go watch the Michael Stone webinar, or you know, check out his book and his resources. He's got a lot of great stuff there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Two things that come to mind. I think in real estate, they always talk about, you know, you really make your money on that real estate deal at the purchase. Right. And yes, there's appreciation, et cetera, but like you really make it the purchase. And I would argue that you're really making your money on a remodeling project in that estimate. Like if you botch that, if you're forgetting this, if you're not quoting enough hours, certainly the productivity, efficiency, et cetera, is a huge component of overall profitability. But boy, that estimate is really either making or breaking that. Had this conversation this morning with Dave down in New Mexico. Hi, Dave Bryson. And Dave's been working extremely hard on more detailed estimating, but more importantly, actually going through the actual job cost results. And he said something magical this morning where he said, Kyle, we're watching it very closely. And this little demo phase, he was talking about something very particular. The little demo phase, you know, I had 6 hours in it and it ended up taking us 8 hours. And he said, you know, when I reflect back on when I put that estimate together, I need to stop thinking about how quickly I can do it. And I need to think about my team. I need to put a little bit more buffer in there. So when you think about profitability, yes, it is making sure we're not forgetting things and everything is in the estimate, but it is incredibly important to compare the actual with the estimate to see what adjustments we need to make next time to our estimates. Are we learning that? And too often we're moving too fast and we're not looking closely at the job costing. So you're making the same stupid estimating error time and time and time again, multiplied out by 20 jobs, multiplied out by 5 years. And there's a lot of profit that's slipping through.
Absolutely. It's amazing how many people don't even have the insight into what projects they made a profit and which ones they lost money. So starting with basic job costing, you know, we integrate with QuickBooks Online or desktop to facilitate that. But that's critical to the process because you need that feedback loop. Where are you succeeding? Where are you failing? Where are you overlooking details that need to be included the next time you do it?
Yeah. Fun fact, Nolan's dad is a top-notch remodeler and great friend. We picked up Clear Estimates because it was obviously set up for the remodeling industry.
Yeah.
Such a small world. You know, one thing I figured out is don't be a big fat jerk to anybody because everybody knows everybody. First of all, period. Right. Don't be a big fat jerk. But secondly, right. there's so much cross relationships here.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that one. Let's move on to this next one. What do you guys have as far as some tips to help remodelers become better at estimating? What comes to mind for that?
Yeah, I think, you know, early on in the chat, you mentioned that a lot of the folks viewing this today are kitchen and bath is might be kind of the bread and butter of the projects. And you know, I like to think of when you're running a business, you want to make sure that the good things like getting jobs, getting leads, you know, getting customers coming in, that those processes are easy and smooth. You know, it's the good things should go smoothly and easily. And when you get customers, you know, setting yourself up to get those estimates out quickly, like Nolan said, can really be helpful. So, you know, if you have a series of 3, 5, even 10 configurations of bathroom, let's say, that you can start with, and you can create, let's say, 80% of an estimate in just a few minutes, rather than spending, you know, hours and days, you know, creating the perfect estimate. If you can get most of the way there, talk to the customer about, you know, sort of the ballpark price that they're going to be looking at, what sort of schedule they're looking. You know, there's a lot more than that just goes into it than just.
Are you so where you're going with that is almost templates of, look, you know, you've got 80% of that bathroom estimate already done because it's identical to this one or very close to that one. Making sure that we've really are taking advantage of kind of the templates and that type of thing.
Exactly. And so, you know, we have templates built into Clear Estimates that we create, but you can also create your own. And really, we encourage everyone to create their own custom to what they actually do. You know, not only are your templates not going to cover all of your jobs, but ours couldn't possibly cover everyone's jobs. So, you know, really customizing and even taking the job costing that you mentioned earlier and backfilling those templates to say, you know what, we actually use more outlets per kitchen than I had in the template. So I'm going to change that. And it's really about continuous improvement. It's not that you have a kitchen template and then there's your answer every time. But it can get you started and get your estimates out quickly, and it can start the dialogue with the homeowner.
And it's never ending, really, right? It's a constant. Guess what? In 2029, people, you're still going to be tweaking your estimates. You're still going to be tweaking your templates, and it's a never ending thing, and you're always learning something. Nolan, what would you add to this question of tips to help remodelers become better at estimating?
One thing we've seen is that people don't account for everything. They're too generous with how they model out their projects, and things as simple as the time spent in meetings before the project. They're like, oh, that doesn't count. We still haven't closed yet. It shouldn't be included. Or the move out. You're going to remodel a basement and it's filled with junk, and it's going to take you 3 days to get all that stuff out. That takes man hours. You can't just gift some stuff into the estimate because it's going to cost you money. Or things like site prep or move out, cleaning up the job site at the end of the day. All of these things, you're paying your employees to be there and do that. They should be included in the estimate. So don't cut yourself short by undercharging on things that take real time and add real cost to the project.
Yeah,
that's good.
I'm
more. Go ahead.
Well, a very popular topic of conversation is also charging the appropriate markup. And it's a contentious one. Speaking to people's unwillingness to charge what they likely deserve, people have a tendency to under markup the project and cut themselves short before they even start the project.
Right. And yes, we could spend more time on that. I will kind of circle back to, although my mind just went there, but I wanted to come back to something you just said. It'll come back. It's gone for the time being, but it'll come back. Couple comments here. This is getting a little more specific, but somebody asked, how does Clear Estimates backfill from job costing, meaning kind of updating the database? Is it manually? Thought of that.
Yeah, so right now we provide a quarterly price update service where we survey suppliers all across the country to get localized pricing in your area. So it's not really job costing, but that's just a baseline to understanding of how Clear Estimates works. Is we do that quarterly update. Just speaking of volatile prices, we did actually do an early update this quarter because of how much prices are changing. So we're working on doing that.
What are you shaking your head, Nolan? It's like you're frustrated by the material. It's insane, isn't it?
Yeah,
and quadruple what they were at the beginning of last year. And
somebody did just post something about a little bit of a leading indicator of the lumber pricing kind of going down. That was at least something.
It will come back down.
Yeah, that will come back down. But that 6% increase from that window company, that 6% for that siding, that 4% for this, it ain't coming back down. Right. And they can justify it just by saying, look, we're paying our team more. The floor of what we pay our team has gone up. There's a lot of things that have increased. I don't think it's going anywhere, but certainly some of the stuff that's hyper inflated in pricing will hopefully come back down. I remember what I was about to mention when we were talking about, don't forget about this. Don't forget about that little thing, between estimating properly and not forgetting things, between doing that job costing, certainly by pre-planning the project stronger. It's all of those things that really are the difference between a kind of a wussy 2-3% net profit and a much more healthy 8, 9, 10, 11% net profit. That's where it comes down to. Yes, it's also what we just charge overall markup, but it's watching our estimating and job costing closer. That's the difference between having $40,000 of net profit versus 90. Difference to 160, which means you could maybe pay yourself more, which means you could add more benefits, which means you could take care of your people. There's a wide variety of why you should be focused on making more money in your remodeling business. But what we're talking about here is a huge component of that.
Right. And it all shows up in the estimate, as you said, and it's the mindset of being cost plus. What does it cost versus what price can I charge? Just like you mentioned the parallel with the real estate industry.
Yeah.
Price is whatever someone's willing to pay. It's the same for modeling. So
be
professional, have a detailed, bid, treat it as part of the sales price, and set your price so that you get as much as you can out of the project.
Yep. Here's another question. Thanks, Michael, for posting this. Be sure to ask them about the new features that Clear Estimates introduced last week that allow for dynamic multiple markups within a specific item and the ability to include multiple parts in a single line. It's a huge improvement. Before you guys answer that, so what we've covered is what are some common mistakes you see in estimating. We've talked about why estimating is so vitally important to being profitable. We talked about some tips to help remodelers become better at estimating. If you have a takeaway from even what you heard there, please share in the comments whether you're watching this live or after the fact. And let's spend the last kind of 4 or 5 minutes just talking about Clear Estimates, what you guys are up to, how people can reach out. And in particular, Michael's kind of highlighting a few updates you guys recently made. Go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, we've been growing over the last year or so as the remodeling industry has been quite busy, as most can attest to. It's been a chance for us to dig into some of the feedback that we've gotten over the years. We've been around, as Nolan said, for coming up on a couple decades, and we've spent most of that time listening to our customers as much as possible. Nolan comes from a remodeling background. I don't myself, but hearing from our customers what they need, what can help them do their job better. That's really where we drive these feature updates. And the one Michael's talking about here, took the better part of a year to design and test and build and gather additional feedback. And he's right, just a week or two ago, we released it. And really, it comes down to providing more options on how you want to create your estimates. So, if you're providing a budget that you don't want to mark up, for example, you can remove the markup from an individual line or customize the markup on an individual line. You can create the calculations for how an individual part is how the cost is calculated for each part. You can customize that in a lot of different ways, including subcontractor costs, labor costs, and material, all in the same line item. So it allows for a lot more flexibility, a lot more detail, and just really a lot easier to create estimates when you're able to just select exactly how you are thinking about the part, how you think about the costs. You can set it up like that, and that's really what we found is that different contractors think about costs in different ways, and giving them the ability to get on the estimate the way that they think about the cost. It still outputs to the customer the same way. They're still seeing, only the marked up prices. They're still
has a little more flexibility in how it's put together and seen
on the back end. Yeah, exactly.
So if I'm a remodeler who's using like a Builder Trend or a Coconstruct, does it make sense to also have something like Clear Estimates? What are kind of the pros and cons of that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we actually integrate with Builder Trend.
I'm a professional over here, so obviously I ask great questions like that.
That's right. That's right. No, we'll have to get some podcasting feedback and live video feedback from you, because this is great. As far as Builder Trend and Coconstruct, I think they really are. They're amazing tools. What we talked about earlier is that estimating is really a core portion of the process, but project management is extremely important as well. Your communication with the homeowner, sharing progress photos, tracking the time of your crew, things like that are extremely important. And we like to think we are going to try to nail estimating. We're not really trying to expand out into project management too much. Of course, here and there we'll find little features that we can help people out with. But really, if you're looking for a full-featured project management tool, something like Coconstruct or Builder Trend is a great option to take a look at. And we integrate with Builder Trend at the moment, so you can create your estimates within Clear Estimates with all the detail that you want, with the part lists and the templates and all the things that you've worked on building up over the years. And then you can just export it to Builder Trend and manage the project using all of their fantastic tools. With Coconstruct and Builder Trend kind of merging, we're hoping that we'll be able to expand that to include Coconstruct as well. But certainly, I think anybody who's running a lot of projects, especially high-end projects, it's great to take a look at those project management tools. They can really help you.
Jack, when you and I were weeks ago, that was one of the comments I made to you of going, you guys have really stayed in your lane. Like, it's tempting to expand that software to something else or to compete over here, but I think it's an important business principle that I need to continue to learn. Even when I said earlier, estimating is not my forte. So, it's not. There's certain things that, okay, I'm a business coach, but there's certain aspects where that's not my core knowledge and my strength. And I think we all have to evaluate that in our business. So kudos to you guys for saying, we're going to do one thing and we're going to do it really, really well. because it's hard to kind of stay focused like that. And I think that applies to remodelers as well. Again, we have more leads than we know what to do with. Are we actually thinking strategically about it? Are we only taking on our ideal projects, the projects that, we're most profitable on, that our team is best set up for, and or hopefully that we just enjoy the most? This is an opportunity for us to perhaps turn away work that is not ideal.
That's good.
Cool.
That's really good advice. Yeah.
Cool. Anything else you guys would add, or let me finish it this way. Actually, here's how we're going to wrap up. You can go to clearestimates.com, or you can, if you email me, I think I have an affiliate link where I make like $5 a month off you. So feel free to email me, or Bailey, if you're watching this,
please do.
We can put the link in there. But either way, clearestimates.com or whatnot. But if you were to kind of summarize, and I'll let both of you kind of share this, and then I'll share it. If they heard nothing else in this 30 minutes, some of these tips, what would be the thing that you'd want to kind of emphasize the most? Hey, you heard a bunch of different ideas and thoughts related to this topic of estimating. If you heard nothing else, like, here's the thing you got to really remember. What comes to your guys' mind for that?
I'd say think of your estimating process as a part of the sales process and not an administrative task. Understand what's going to cost, but then charge the price that you want to bill.
Definitely. Good. And I would say take a look at ways that you can get a lot of an estimate done quickly and really start the dialogue with the client early, really making sure, sticker shock is definitely real, especially with rising prices. And so getting on the same page of what something's going to cost ballpark before you really get into the nickel and diming of what the specific tasks are that you're going to do. I think that's a really great way to do it as well. It's improving your sales process.
Yeah.
Just like when you're building a project, you have to have the right systems in place. The same is true with software. It requires a little bit of upfront investment to get everything dialed in exactly the way you do it. We make it as easy as possible to customize the software to work just like you think. Take the time to invest in those systems, and down the road, it'll pay dividends.
Yeah, and it does take time. It is effort. Yes. This is on the business stuff, but it's one of those, like, every hour you invest in it and dialing in your templates more, dialing in your estimate. I don't care if you use Clear Estimates, if you're using Buildertrend, if you're using a Excel spreadsheet, however you estimate, take the time to really dial it in.
Exactly.
That wasn't my final thing, though. That was just playing off of one of your final things. My final thing is this emphasis or this push against, prove to me your estimating is correct. Prove to me that you're not missing this or that. Are you sure that was the number of hours that you guys actually did on this project? That emphasis on yes, it's important to get accurate, detailed scope of work and estimating, but you've got to marry that up with the actual. Like I said earlier, there's nothing today that's going to excite me more than my guy saying, we actually went over 2 hours extra on this, and I kind of thought about why. And the next time I do the estimate, I'm actually going to go in there and kind of adjust the template right now. That excites me more than anything, because that's how you make money, and that's how we become more and more profitable and solid. And it's the combination of doing that once and then twice and then adding this, that cumulative effect of continually improving, that allows us to build really successful, solid businesses. Cool. Somebody said, thanks, guys. This was great.
Thank you. Michael, thanks for joining, everybody.
Yeah. And then Michael said, when we were going through those little things, site prep, hand haul out, tape, he calls it the cost of project execution. He calls it COPE, is one of the way he thinks about it. Cool.
That's
awesome.
a great way to think about it. Yeah.
Thanks a bunch, guys.
Great
talking. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you, Kyle. Really appreciate it. And thanks to everybody who listened in and watched in. It's always great to talk to people and hear comments. And this was great fun.
Good. And go blue.
Go blue.